this video, we're looking at UFC 295. I'll give you my final picks. We'll look at things from a DraftKings perspective. This is strategy, lineup construction, everything you need to be successful on this slate. As always, you can call me Kunath. Let's make some money this week. If you haven't already, go back and watch the predictions video from earlier in the week. That's a full card breakdown that'll be linked in the description and in a pinned comment. Now, before we get into the value plays, which are going to be different this week than they have been throughout most of the cards of the year, we have to talk about the one change to the card that we've seen since the first video. And that's us officially getting this fight on the card here with Mateusz Rebecki and Roosevelt Roberts. Easy one. Mateusz Rebecki should run through Roosevelt Roberts, whose only redeeming quality is that he's tall for the weight class. With Rebecki, you've got a guy who's got big power in his hands. He can lean on his wrestling when he needs to. Roosevelt Roberts has poor takedown defense, and we've seen that on full display in the UFC. He had been cut from the UFC, lost on the Ultimate Fighter, and if they didn't need somebody on short notice here, they probably wouldn't have booked him with Rebecki. Rebecki is absolutely going to win this fight. He's PRP material, and he adds a new wrinkle to the slate because you have a guy who's easily going to clear 100 DraftKings points. You just need to know if you could fit him in your lineup. But truly, not a spot that we need to overthink. Give me Mateusz Rebecki this week inside the distance, which is the way you should be betting him in this fight, just to get a slightly better line on somebody who's going to be a heavy favorite when you look at your books. But now we can get into your value plays. These are plays at 8,000 and below, pieces you will need in your player pool to make things work salary wise, and this is a different week than most. And the reason why I say that is because we typically have a tighter pool. At least I have a tighter pool of people that I like and the ones that we talk about for value plays in the videos, but this week there's so many. In the co-main event and main event, you have two very close fights on paper with Sergei Pavlovich and Jiří Procházka coming back as underdogs. It would not shock me if both of these guys got it done. It wouldn't shock me if both of these guys lost, but at the same time, when you look at the scores that these two are posting, they need to be in your value play consideration. Sergei Pavlovich, destroyer of worlds. He got off to a bad start against Alistair Overeem, and if you go back, I saw a post on Twitter the other day. It was very interesting. Fighters who have had a ton of success in the UFC after dropping their debut, there were champions on this list, so you know you're not getting the best version of a guy when he's making his first walk. That fight against Alistair Overeem, he scores 7 DraftKings points. That's messing with the average. If we take that out, the man is averaging 119 DraftKings points, and it's because he's getting these first round knockouts. It's because he's recording knockdowns in all of these fights, and if he wins this week, which I think that he does, he's going to post over 100 DraftKings points once again. And this slate is awesome when it comes to the pricing because you know that you're going to need one side of this fight. At 8,000 and 8,200 for these guys, you're going to need one side of the fight. What's awesome about this slate is the pricing. When you look at the main event, you look at the co-main event, you know you're going to need the winner of each of those. Just with the way that those fights are going to end, the upside and where the prices are, it's 2 easy buttons for you to click this week. The tough part about it is clicking the right 2 buttons out of the 4 choices that you have with those 2 fights, but that's up to you. That's also the benefit of playing multiple lineups. You can spread out that allocation, and what you can do is do that in something like a 3 max where a lot of people aren't going to do that. And for Jiří Procházka, averaging 112 DraftKings points, he has 3 finishes in the UFC. A lot of people believe that he's going to have a big wrestling advantage here. I think he has the grappling advantage if this fight spends a lot of time on the mat, which I don't expect it to, but I don't see him getting takedowns on Alex Pereira this week. I think these guys are going to stand and kickbox for however long it lasts. But regardless of how the fight plays out, what kind of style he's implementing, the game plan that he decides to follow this week, I don't see a situation where Jiří Procházka wins a fight that is scheduled for 5 rounds and doesn't score a lot of DraftKings points. Now, unlike Sergei Pavlovich, I don't think that Jiří Procházka is going to win, but it doesn't matter who you think is going to win. In MMA DFS, it doesn't matter who you think is going to win. It matters who you think is going to give you the best leverage over the field or put you in a position to score the most amount of points. So if you like Jiří Procházka, plug him into your lineups. If you don't like Jiří Procházka, it still might be worth you putting him in your lineups. Another value play this week is Vyacheslav Borshov because the man on the feet is one of the best strikers in the division. Mike Davis and Mark Diakese had to wrestle this guy a ton, and if Nazim Sadikov doesn't do that this week, he's going to knock him out. Now, I expect Nazim Sadikov to be intelligent about his game plan this week, shoot for takedowns, double legs, single legs, or he's looking to get into the clinch immediately. But I've also seen Nazim Sadikov stand right in front of guys and really overestimate his toughness. I've seen this guy stand right in front of people. He stood right in front of Terrence McKinney, which is a bad idea. Now, McKinney was cowering every time that Sadikov would throw back at him. But standing right in front of somebody like that is not a smart game plan. If he does the same thing this week against Slava Claus, he is going to get finished. Vyacheslav Borshov, somebody that I'm probably going to have in a few lineups. I don't think he wins, but at the same time, you can't ignore that upside. The man man had 3 knockdowns last time out, and the power is real. He carries it late. He's a very intelligent, slick striker who's going to throw stuff to the body as well. Definitely somebody you need in value play consideration at 7,700 salary. Alessandro Costa is the zig where they zag spot this week. I've not had one person tell me, Kunath, I like the Costa pick. I have everybody telling me reasons why Urseg is going to win. I know publicly Urseg is everybody's darling. He's going to do it. If Alessandro Costa wins, if he wins inside the distance, he shows up on the optimal lineup 100 out of 100 times. You heard it here, I hope first. We've talked about this idea time and time again on the channel. At the end of the night, when you're looking up at first place, you're going to see that person's lineup, and there are going to be 1 or 2 fighters in that lineup who you were never considering ever. Alessandro Costa could be that guy this week down at 7,600 and somebody who nobody wants to play. Kyung Ho Kang is somebody you should probably have in your player pool as well down at 7,400 because he has a lot of ways to get you to that high DraftKings score you're looking for. He's got power, he can match output if somebody's putting it on him, and he's got the wrestling to fall back on. You see the win over Dana where he scored 70 points in a decision win. That's not great, but last time out 117. The latest win before that 93. You see 100, 118, 102 in a win before that. 57 against Tanaka's not great, but right before that he got 117. So there are definitely paths to a high DraftKings score for Kyung Ho Kang. We've seen it time and time again. And the field is not full of dummies. People will know that Kyung Ho Kang is a live underdog. I see him pulling a decent amount of ownership. I see him being much higher owned than John Castaneda. And it's for good reason. The path to a lot of points is there, and even in losses, he hasn't scored poorly. So if you're in a small field, say single entry contest with maybe 100 or 200 other people, then you're looking at a situation where Kyung Ho Kang in your lineup with 56 points and a loss might still get you there because of how cheap he is. And typically you would have to find chewed on tires at a junkyard to find a dog like this and Matt Frevola down at 7,100, but this is a button I'm clicking this week, thank you very much. 3-fight winning streak, all by way of knockout. He scored 158 in 1 round is ridiculous. 105, 115 last time out, knocking out Drew Dober, the unknockoutable Drew Dober. I've heard it before, and we were on the right side of things. You know what I'm hearing this week? Kunath, Benoit Saint-Denis gonna wrestle him. Kunath, Benoit Saint-Denis got that dog in him. Kunath. Shut up. If Benoit Saint-Denis gets stuck on his feet, or if Benoit Saint-Denis gets tired in the second round, Matt Frevola is putting him out. One thing Matt Frevola is not going to do is not going to lay down except bottom position. You're not going to see that flat back like you see far too often in the UFC. When he gets taken down, because it's going to happen, he's going to get to a hip, he's going to get back to his feet, he's going to dig underhooks, and he's going to start throwing his hands again. You will find no shortage of effort from the man, and that's what I love to see, especially down at this price. He's one of my favorite value plays of the week, possibly my favorite, and somebody you definitely should have in your player pool. I think you should have the other side of this matchup in your player pool as well, but do not sleep on that Matt Frevola knockout upside. We've seen it win slates for the past 3 fights now. But with that being said, we can get into building some lineups. These are going to be your cash game lineups for your double ups, your 50-50s, your head-to-heads, little bankroll builders as we like to call them. You are the architect of not only these lineups, but your bankroll as well. And your bankroll is going to be a reflection of the type of contests that you play in. So with that being said, I know you guys like to play your big tournaments, the $18, $25 tournaments where there's 100,000 people and the winner gets 500,000. That's great, man. That's great. It's also one of the worst bets that you could be making in the game today. You need to be playing your cash games at the very least. I don't care if you're just somebody who straight bets. If you just straight bet, you'll love cash games because this gives you the opportunity to double your entry fee every single time with the proper lineup construction. But before we build the lineups, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment something for the algorithm. If you want to go a step further, share this with somebody who's going to be watching the fights this week. All free ways to support the channel. We appreciate it. So let's build our cash game lineups this week. Now, are we going to be stacking the main event? It's tough to say because you typically don't want to stack these title fights or these 5-round fights if you don't think that it's going to go the distance. But at the same time, I want to take you to a... But on the same time, I want to take you on a trip down memory lane real quick. Remember when Jiří Procházka fought Glover Teixeira and everybody thought that the fight would go a maximum 2 rounds? And instead, it's a 5-round war where both of these guys score a ton of DraftKings points and you could have had both of them in the tournament winning lineup that week. Now, the fight here with Alex Pereira is much different. He's not going to be reversing position from bottom. He's not going to get taken down. He's probably not going to have a whole lot of takedowns as well. But if both of these guys are uber tough like they appear appear to be. Both of these guys let a lot of strikes go. Alex Pereira's getting the significant strike number bumped up every time he lands a leg kick. Jiří Procházka's not afraid to let his hands go. He's landing a lot of strikes in the clinch. You could have a situation where this fight starts to sneak out of the first, out of the second, out of the third round. So with that being said, I'm not afraid to stack the main event, despite me thinking that it probably ends early, because we've seen it time and time again. It's not happening. Now I'm happy for Jailton Almeida. He was able to rig the fight, and all his friends and family who took that over ticket did really well, and I'm proud of him for that. But I can't ignore the fact that that fight was supposed to go 5 minutes, goes 25 minutes. So let's take another chance here. Let's take a chance in our cash games that the fight in the main event goes beyond 3 rounds. So we'll grab Poatan. We'll come down here and grab Jiří Procházka. As always, 84.50 left over per fighter. What I'm doing at this point is grabbing Matt Frevola. He's the cheapest guy who I think is going to extend his competition. 7,100 puts us in a good position. I like the punt. Now we've got 8,900 left over per salary. Lupi Godinez really stands out to me at 8,700. Now she's not somebody who I think is all that tournament viable. I think there's a much better chance of us seeing a Cynthia Calvillo Lupi Godinez type of fight this week than we saw against, say, Elise Reed last time out. I say that she probably scores you around 83 DraftKings points. That's what I project for her this week, and that actually mirrors what her average has been in the UFC. So give me Lupi Godinez at 8,700 in the cash game lineups. I like the matchup. 9,000 left over. I think I'm keeping it simple, and I would go Jared Gordon here, and then I'd grab Mackenzie Dern. 100 salary left on the table. Ideal. Now that's just an idea. If you have something else in mind, go with it, but your cash games are crucial. Now if you want all of my official cash game plays of the week, the tournament plays of the week, DraftKings strategy guide, optimizer, projections model, official bets, all of that good stuff, you can visit KunathMMA.com. That's linked in the description. A membership on KunathMMA.com is the best way to support the channel. It makes it a lot easier for me to be able to get stuff like this out in a timely manner, so go check it out, grab yourself a membership. But now let's build the tournament lineups for your GPPs, your big contests, how we can get crazy, how we can do what we need to do to beat the field, do what other people won't do. Let's work. Now, while I'm a firm believer in zigging where other people zag, there is a very obvious build that's going to show up in the optimal lineup this week more often than not, and that's going to be, like we talked about before, that big four that you have there with Tom Aspinall, Sergei Pavlovich, as well as Jiří Procházka and Alex Pereira. When you find yourself building lineups this week, you should start with these four every time. But with that said, this is your starting point. Put these four in here. Now, what combination do you like? Do you like a Procházka Pavlovich combination, a little double dog action? Do you like Pavlovich and Pereira, a little PP? Do you like Procházka and Aspinall this week? Do you like Pereira and Aspinall this week? A couple of different ways for you to go, but start with those four. So let's do it. We got our four. I think that Pavlovich wins. I think Pereira wins. So let me go back on the way that I think, because you have to fade yourself sometimes when it comes to DraftKings MMA. So let's say I just took one of my winners. Let's say I went with Pavlovich and I went with Procházka. 85.50 left over per fighter, which means we can stay with the favorites and above. If we went with somebody like Pat Sabatini, for example, if you went with Nazim Sadikov, if you came up here to somebody like Lupi Godinez, you've got 8,700 left over, and if you want to, you can go Steve Erceg here. Now, I don't love this. I don't even like this, but I don't hate it, because at this point, I think that we've matured enough as DFS players collectively to know that it's hard to hate a lineup. Now, you can keep your lineup like this, or you can notice the fact that a lot of lineups that are showing up in the top 10% of contests are ones that are targeting that mid-range pretty heavy as of late. So what you could do is take Erceg out. You could take the other side of that matchup, a very low-owned Alessandro Costa at 7,600. You've left 1,100 salary on the table, and I love this. This is the kind of lineup that's going to spring by a lot of people if it does hit for you the right way. And now that you do have some other salary left over, what you can do is come up here and grab somebody like Matus Rebecki, and you still have a very different lineup here. And you know that you have that upside in the main event, the co-main event. You know Matus Rebecki is going to go out there and give you 100 plus easy. Pat Sabatini can post high scores with his grappling, his control time. I expect him to get a lot of takedowns and a lot of minutes of control time this week. 115 last time out, 106, 105, 90, 83. I'll take any of those. But let's blow that up. Let's start again. So let's grab our four. We've got Pereira, we've got Tom Aspinall, Sergei Pavlovich, Jiří Procházka. Let's instead this time go with Pereira. Let's go with Aspinall, a little double overdog action. Let's grab Kang at this point. Let's grab Matt Frevola. Now we've got 94.50 left over per fighter. I'm coming up here to get my 100 points. Thank you very much. And then I can come right here to Joshua Van if I wanted, or I can and get somebody like Mackenzie Dern, who is going to win inside the distance by submission after she gets a takedown. I don't see the favorites in the main or co-main event being that much higher owned than the underdogs. I see the split being not quite 50-50, but I don't think it's going to be 70-30. I think it's going to be pretty close. I don't think that you're playing the chalk is what I'm saying by picking these two here, or if you pick the other side. Now you've got Kang as an underdog, you've got Frevola as an underdog, Rebecca, a lot of people are going to try to get him, but at 9,600 they might not have the cojones to get up there. And now 9,000 you've got Mackenzie Dern, and Mackenzie Dern can give you those high DraftKings scores with her takedowns, her submissions, and we've seen Jéssica Andrade, when the fight's not going her way, she's out of there. And now the cool part is, if you are running several lineups, because these are the two favorites, you can come here and grab Pavlovich, down here at 8,000. You've left 500 salary on the table, you got it. Go back up to Aspinall, take out Pereira, come down here and grab Procházka, you got it. Let's say this is how we start our lineup. Aspinall, Procházka, let's say you came down here and you grabbed Borshov, let's say you came up here and you grabbed Sabatini, then you grab somebody like Jared Gordon, you grab somebody like Mackenzie Dern. I'm cool with this. This works for me. It might not work for you, but it works for me. Now, you're probably saying, Kunath, I want to play Benoit Saint-Denis more than I want food and drink. Okay, I get you. I can hear you through the screen. It's fine. Let's plug Benoit Saint-Denis in there. Let's grab Alex Pereira. Let's grab Sergei Pavlovich. Now we've got 81.66 left over. I'm going to come down here and get my boy Kang. 85.50 left over. Sabatini is such an easy button to press. 8,800 salary left over. We can't grab Castaneda. Lupi Godinez is our next most expensive piece. Urseg's there. Sadakov's there. And this is really where you would live with one of these three. Let's grab Sadikov, leave 300 salary on the table, and call it a night. And again, if you want, you can go access the tools on KunathMMA.com. That will be linked in the description and in a pinned comment. And we'll wrap this up with your can't miss underdog slip of the week. Underdog Fantasy, a great place to play. And I actually want to show you something. So at the time of recording this, Thursday Night Football's on. This is super cool. You can actually grab live stats. So if you think Bryce Young is going to throw a touchdown at some point in this game, higher, boom. Very cool feature that they have on there, and something that I just wanted to highlight for you. But now we can go back to MMA and we can grab the best 5 picks of the week. At first, I think it's Mackenzie Dern over half of a finish. He's going to finish the fight. Benoit Saint-Denis higher than 2 takedowns. I really like that one. Sabatini higher than 32.5 fantasy points. I like that one as well. Steve Urseg, you've got 50.5 significant strikes, which is funny because they basically are saying that this fight is going to go the distance. That's what they feel. You think he's going to land 50.5 significant strikes if the fight goes the distance? Probably. And then Joshua Van, I like over 12.5 fight time minutes. They pay 20x on your entry. So if we come here, let me pull this up for you. So if we come here and we just say, let's go ahead and, for example, we're going to put $25 in there, you've got 500 that they can pay out. And if you want a free $25 to play on their site, they're going to match your first deposit. So what you can do is use the link in the description or use promo code Kunath, that's Kunath, when you're signing up and making your first deposit, and they will match your first deposit up to $100. I think now they're running a promotion for up to $500, so you can really take advantage of the offers that are out there for you. But visit Underdog Fantasy, great place to play. You can play all night, and now that the live betting, the live pick'em is in there, fantastic. But with that being said, that is the end of the video. Those are the final picks. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment something for the algorithm, visit the website, join the $1 Kunath winner take all contest on DraftKings. So many things you can do. You're like an octopus with so many things that you could touch at once. So go out there, be an octopus, ink all over the competition, and I will see you next week. Let's go!